serious questions to answer. They have failed.
My name is Noor Mohammed. We'll bring you details of these and some other stories shortly. Stay here with us on 3FM 92.7. Now, kicking off the bulletin, the Supreme Court will this morning determine whether to restrain the High Court from conducting criminal trials during the ongoing legal vacation until the determination of a substantive suit challenging the constitutionality of administrative warrants issued by the Chief Justice. Now, Justice Gabriel Puamang, who heard the motion as a single judge, gave the dates after hearing arguments for and against the grant of the interlocutory injunction. The application is tied to a substantive suit filed by the Member of Parliament for Afuase Ayerebi, Mr. Kojo Nkrumah, against the Chief Justice and the Attorney General. The MP is asking the Apex Court to determine whether administrative warrants issued by the Chief Justice directing selected High Court judges to sit and conduct criminal trials during the legal vacation are constitutional. Now, we'll follow this keenly and would bring you updates in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, President John Dramani Mahama has announced that the first 700 housing units at the 6amNews affordable housing project are expected to be completed and commissioned by March 2027, with 1,500 units targeted for completion by the end of 2027. President John Dramani Mahama made the announcement during a tour of the 6amNews housing project as work continues to complete the residential community. There's more in this report.
A project he started during his first administration, but which has now become a pale shadow of its former self. It later became the subject of a criminal justice inquiry during the erstwhile MPP administration, involving former Works and Housing Minister Collins Dauda. The president highlighted some of the challenges encountered at the project after years of inactivity, including the theft of electrical cables, but assured that this would not happen again.
This was a vision that was started by Professor Atamils, and I came and continued it. Unfortunately, when government changed hands, there were some issues, legal issues, and the new government said they wanted to investigate, and so in the meantime, the project stalled. Now, the unfortunate thing that happened was, looters came in and stole everything, the cables, the wash basins, the baths, all the fittings, electricals, bulbs. They even took the telecom cables from underground and pulled them away and took them. And so it just left an empty shell. And eventually, the government agreed that the private sector should partner to finish it, and LMI were choosing to do it.
He said prospective homeowners should be prepared to take advantage of the opportunity once the official registration process begins.
The good thing is, if people don't register fast enough, you see all these industries here, all the way to Tema, those in the industrial area, Dawa industrial area, they will snap up all the houses for their workers. But they are available for people who want to move with their families here.
That was a report by my colleague Samuel Yeboah Adams. Now, the Ministry of Education has directed management of the Bolgatanga Girls Senior High School to immediately reinstate a 14-year-old girl who was deboardinized over an alleged sexual assault perpetrated by 2 watchmen of the school. The watchmen have been interdicted. Now, Deputy Education Minister, speaking on Hot Edition, condemned the development, describing it as a failure on the part of the Education Directorate in the region.
The report, as requested in the statement, must be immediate. And I believe when we receive that report, consequential actions will be taken. But I agree with you. Clearly, the management of the school, the district, the municipal directorate, and even the regional directorate, they have serious questions to answer. They have failed. They have failed in upholding their role in terms of having oversight on our wards in our schools.
That was the Deputy Education Minister Clement Park speaking there on Hot Edition. Now, Ghana's power grid is under renewed scrutiny after a third major widespread disruption in less than 4 months and the second nationwide outage in just 22 days. Now, Gridco blames the latest blackout on a fault on the Akosombo Volta transmission line, while the Energy Ministry points to a still fragile temporary arrangement at Akosombo following April's switchyard fire. My colleague Noble Crosby Annan has filed this report.
Ghana's power system has suffered 3 major widespread disruptions in less than 4 months. The first came on April 23 when fire destroyed the control room at Gridco's Akosombo switchyard. The incident disrupted the evacuation of power from the Akosombo generating station, temporarily affecting more than 1,000 megawatts of generation and cutting electricity supply to part of the country. Ghana Grid Company later restored the plant using what it described as an emergency and improvised connection arrangement, while work began on a temporary control system. Then came July 29, 2026. At about 3:11 in the morning, Gridco reported a major disturbance of the National Interconnected Transmission System. Several generating plants tripped simultaneously, resulting in widespread power cuts across the country. Gridco activated its restoration procedures and announced a comprehensive technical investigation to establish the exact cause of the disturbance. But barely 3 weeks later, the system suffered another major shock. At approximately 4:30 Thursday morning, August 20, Gridco says a major fault developed with the Akosombo Volta transmission line. The fault caused generating units at Akosombo to trip automatically together with some thermal power plants. Once again, large parts of the country were left without electricity. That makes Thursday's incident the second major nationwide scale outage in just 22 days and the third major widespread grid disruption in less than 4 months. The Energy Ministry says the latest incident must be understood within the temporary arrangement currently operating at Akosombo. Energy Minister Dr. John Jinapo says after the April fire, government had a choice between keeping Akosombo offline for several months while the control system was rebuilt or restoring generation through a temporary arrangement.
Meanwhile, the Institute for Energy Security, IES, is calling on the government to release the findings of the technical investigation into the nationwide power outage experienced on July 29. Now, senior research and policy analyst at the Institute for Energy Security, Zate Derek Emmanuel, has been speaking.
And so here and there, you continue to hear power stations, you continue to see lines stripping off and other things. It needs continuous and regular improvement in terms of infrastructure. You don't have to wait for us to be hit with issues or shocks before you begin to do investments. So what we always advise is that for Gridco, they don't have to wait for us to be hit with issues. They must be able to undertake periodic investment in terms of infrastructure.
Before we go, media practitioners have been cautioned against compromising professional judgment as they adapt to evolving technologies. Speakers at the GJA at 77 Symposium say this is key for legacy media to remain relevant as a fourth estate and agents of change.
From artificial intelligence to social media platforms, newsrooms are increasingly relying on digital tools to gather, produce and distribute content. But while these innovations offer opportunities for speed, wider reach and greater audience engagement, veteran journalist and managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr., says technology must not come at the expense of professional standards.
The central problem of journalism is therefore no longer simply access to information, but the organization of truth in a society overwhelmed by information. This is where the crisis of public trust becomes important. The public does not owe journalists its trust. Journalism must end it through accuracy and verification, fairness, courage, and the willingness to correct mistakes.
President of the Ghana Journalists Association, GJA, Albert Jumfor, emphasized that accuracy, Verification, fairness and accountability must remain at the heart of journalism, regardless of how quickly the media landscape evolves.
We will encourage media organizations to develop clear editorial policies on AI, including transparency, verification, human oversight, protection of confidential resources, and respect for copyright and intellectual property.
That's a wrap on our 6 a.m. news on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, head on to our website at 3news.com. My name is Nura Mohammed. Business News comes up next. Stay tuned.